Moving on, we're still waiting on the Jack Eichel situation. Sounds like things have been percolating as far as maybe a potential trade coming. Where do we stand on that front?
You know, I do believe things have picked up in the past couple of days. You know, today is Eichel's birthday. I don't know if somebody wants to give him a specific present or anything like that, but I do think it has picked up. I know there's a lot of talk about Vegas with a couple of moves on the blue line they've made this afternoon, extending one defenseman, Zach Whitecloud, and signing Van Houten. Look, I do think that Vegas has made an effort to try to see if they can get this closed. I think there's been a lot of increased chatter. We'll see where this goes. But, you know, that's another situation where I've heard that, you know, they're grinding away. They're grinding away at it. Like, there's a legit attempt to try to see if something can get done here.
We turn our attention to our analytics expert, Mike Kelly. I love this segment. It's one of my favorites. We will start in Seattle, MK, if that's cool with you. I'm going to ask you about the Leafs in a sec, because I think maybe you can tell me all the reasons I'm wrong for panicking. But we'll start with Seattle.
Hey, don't assume you're wrong. Don't assume you're wrong.
That's always what I do. What do you mean? Okay. We'll start on a positive note with the Seattle Kraken. Big W for them at home after taking it to Montreal 5-1. In that game, what areas do you think they executed well?
Oh, that transition game looked real nice for the Seattle Kraken, and you got to give them full marks for that. You got to, I guess, give Montreal full marks as well, because defensively they were not very good. But 5 goals, all off the rush. This was by far Seattle's best offensive game of the season, and by far their best game in transition. They not only forced a good amount of turnovers, but they also forced Montreal into some mistakes as well. And I don't think, you know, this is a team that's going to be flying offensively, generating tons of speed compared to some other teams, but they were high flying in this game. And yeah, they get the first home win in front of their fans, which feels great for them. You look at some of their season highs that they had in this game: entering the zone with possession, getting those shots from the house, odd man rushes, rush chances, rush goals. That's a high-flying Seattle Kraken team right there. So you want to bring an exciting brand of hockey to Seattle, to the new fans out there? That game was a perfect example.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that's an easy style of game to sell to fans who might be new to hockey, or maybe even aren't new to hockey. We all love high-flying offense. Speaking of offense, you know, I did not expect, no disrespect, when I looked at the goal-scoring leaders this season. I mean, you know Alex Ovechkin's going to be up there. I did not expect to see Andrew Mangiapane up there with 7 goals on the season. So I have to ask you, how is he doing this? What's contributing to his success? Because whatever he's doing right now, it is working.
Yeah, my statistical models at the start of the season did not have this either, Jackie. Spoiler alert there. But he's been great. He's been great. His details are fantastic. And you look at how he scored a lot of his goals this season on rebounds. But right here, he goes behind the net, and instead of looping around the net trying to come out the other side, he gets back to that net front area as fast as possible. And he sets himself up in great position to jump on a loose puck and score on a rebound, which is something he does really well. Off a faceoff, he's the first guy into the battle to go and get that puck and recover it, get it back to the point, which sets up some offense that, again, he can be a part of. He goes to the net, as he does so well, right there on a rebound off the shot off the back wall, and winning battles as well, something that he does very well. Getting in here to help out, create a turnover in the neutral zone, pop a puck loose, and then again, for a guy that's not very big, strong on the puck, gets it into a prime scoring area and puts the puck in the back of the net. So what I love about this guy on and off the ice, he's a 6th-round pick in 2015. Things are not going to come easily for him to be successful in the NHL. He's got to make his own luck, and that's what he's been doing. He leads the NHL in rebound goals right now. That's what I love about his game, is that he creates opportunities for himself, and he's been benefiting crazy high shooting percentage, obviously. This isn't going to last forever, but he's putting himself in good spots. The Flames are absolutely buzzing. They're playing a great brand of hockey, too, right now.
Yeah, they certainly are. I can't call them fraudulent anymore like I did last year, because they look legit to start the season. And I love that on Mangiapane. I mean, fighting for offense, something I would love to see the Toronto Maple Leafs do. I guess I'll ask you this. You know, what are you looking to see from the Maple Leafs?
Better defense. It sounds crazy when you've got a team that's averaging less than 2 goals a game, that's offensively gifted as they are. The offense has been fine. They're getting a ton of chances. The pucks are going to start going in. You guys were all just talking about this. Not worried about that. Wayne Simmons put it great today. He said, we got to clean up defensively. They want to play a puck possession game. They want to exit the zone with possession. They want to enter the zone with possession. They want to do it between the dots. Watch all these turnovers where they are forcing plays into the middle of the ice to try to create those controlled entries, those controlled exits, and they're getting picked off and they're ending up in the back of their net. The thing for me, when I look at everything about this team that has cost them year over year in the postseason, hanging on to pucks too long, trying to possess it too long, overvaluing that puck possession when they should be valuing puck management more than anything, it's goals and chances allowed off of turnovers. They have allowed more goals off turnovers this year than any other team at 5-on-5. In the playoffs last year against Montreal, 8 of the 9 goals they allowed came off turnovers. And a lot of them are by overhandling the puck, trying to force those entries and exits when they're not there. The fact of the matter is with puck possession, it is a means to an end. That's it. Puck management is a path to success. And when the Maple Leafs play a style of game that values puck management over puck possession, I think they're going to be better. They were good defensively last year in the regular season. They're capable. But this is the thing that always pops up to me that ends up biting this team in critical moments, is making plays that aren't there and having the puck end up on the stick of the opponents and ultimately too many times in the back of their net.
I'm glad you put it that way, because there's a lot of people telling me, oh, but they're dominating the puck possession game, and I'm like, I don't care. I don't want to hear it anymore.
It's not the be all end all.
So the moral of the story: puck management is more important than puck possession. You heard it here first from Mike Kelly. Mike, always a pleasure chatting with you. Enjoy the games tonight.
Thanks, Jackie. You too.
Dave Pagnotta, let's start with this news about Drew Doughty. He's going to be missing in action for 8 weeks. What can you tell us, Dave?
Yeah, Jackie, it's not the worst news in the world for the LA Kings and Drew Doughty this season, but obviously it could have been a lot better. He's missing 8 weeks up until from starting today after already missing a little bit of action. He was on fire, 7 points in 4 games. He was really out to prove everybody that he's back to being that perennial Norris candidate and a guy that could be in contention for the Canadian national team for the Olympics. Unfortunate knee injury for him, as I mentioned, but not the biggest or worst news, because it is only going to be, a couple of months. He's going to take about 6 weeks before he hits the ice, which puts him back to about the second last week of December before he can hit the ice. The biggest news really for the LA Kings and the biggest loss is Sean Walker. He's been an absolute stud for this team on that back end. Not having him for the duration of this season is a big, big loss for the LA Kings. Now, Rob Blake says he's going to deal with things internally for now, but if they are in playoff contention, I could see them making a move for a guy on that right side to perhaps, at least for now, supplement the loss of Walker down the stretch.
And a tough blow for Doughty, who I'm sure was motivated to try to play his way onto that Team Canada roster for the Olympics. I'm sure that hurts his chances just a little bit. While we're on the topic of the LA Kings, though, how about pending UFA Dustin Brown? He started the season with 5 points in 6 games. Any contract extension talks happening here? What's the latest on that front?
Yeah, well, he's in the last year of an 8-year contract with the LA Kings, making just over $5.5 a year. He's a lifetime King, and he wants to keep playing beyond this season. That's the early word right now. Now, they haven't had any significant talks to this point, but my sense in speaking to people around the LA Kings is that Dustin Brown is going to take things from a year-by-year basis. So he's already kind of made the determination that he wants to play hockey again beyond this season. So if things work out well, and I suspect they'll come to some kind of agreement, if he keeps up playing at this pace that he's at, he certainly will have an impact on this team. So you're probably looking at a 1-year extension at some point with the LA Kings. They're not there yet. Talks are really, barely in the preliminary stage, but they will pick up as the season moves on. Jackie, he wants to stick around.
How old is Dustin Brown now?
He's 37 next week, I think.
Okay, wow. Weird. Yeah. Time flies. All right. Speaking of time flying, let's talk about the New York Islanders. They made headlines bringing in the well-respected vet in Zdeno Chara this offseason to add to their back end. And, of course, with expectations high for the Islanders. I mean, people expect this team to contend for a cup. We knew it would be a talking point. So what can you tell us about where the Isles are at with their blue line?
They like the way things are structured for the time being, but my sense is as the season progresses, this is a team that's going to be looking to bring in somebody mobile on that back end, preferably on the left side. Now, they have, as you mentioned, Chara coming in. They have Green as well on that left side. little up there in age, both of those guys on that left side. They brought in Char for his veteran presence, his stability, and what he brings in that room. But if they want to make some noise going into the playoffs, like a lot of people suspect, myself included, they've got a little bit of wiggle room because of Johnny Boychuk on LTIR, little over $2.2 million in cap space that they can effectively play with. This is going to be a team in Lou Lamoriello leading the way that they're going to look to bring in somebody on that left side closer to the deadline. They're going to keep things going for now. They're going to deal with what they've got internally. Sebastian Aho is going to get some playing time sporadically as the season moves along. But look for the Islanders to explore that left side on that blue line as the season inches closer to that trade deadline.
All right, well, we started out west, then we went all the way east. Let's go back out west and talk about the Anaheim Ducks, a team that, you know, for the last few seasons, we've talked about having a ton of prospects, a lot in the cupboards, so to speak. I know we're far away from deadline day right now, but how do the Anaheim Ducks see their team? I mean, where are they at in terms of their progression as a team that's going from rebuilding to, you know, being competitive again?
Right. Well, Jackie, this is the first time in a long time going into this season that they've embraced the fact that they're rebuilding. They've always kind of slow cooked it a little bit that, well, we think we might be able to make the playoffs. Maybe we'll give the young guys some time. No, they're going full in on this rebuild. And that means that they are going to be a team, if they're not in the playoff picture, come, you know, effectively right after the Olympic break, they're going to be a team that teams are going to look at some assets that they could potentially poach away from ahead of the deadline. You got 4 guys right there that are pending UFAs. I don't suspect Getzlaf will pretty much be in play. I mean, I'm sure teams will inquire like they did last year. But those 3 other guys, Hampus Lindholm, Josh Manson, and Ricard Raquel, they are going to be players that have already been discussed from other teams last season, in the offseason. I guarantee you, Jackie, that there are going to be teams that are going to be poking around and inquiring about these players inching closer to the deadline. Manson has a 12-team trade list. Ricard Raquel and Hampus Lindholm have no trade protection, I should say. So the Ducks are free to move around however they please with those guys. They haven't had any contract talks with any of these guys to this point. They can start that process later on if they do want to bring back any of these guys, but I can tell you they haven't gotten there yet, not from a significant standpoint anyway. And if they do move forward and are continuing this rebuild process like they've admitted, those are going to be 3 guys specifically that I think teams are going to be looking at and would pay a solid price closer to that deadline to get.
All right, one more for you. Let's talk Blue Jackets. Looks like Elvis Merzlikins, the goalie of the future for Columbus after signing that 5-year contract extension right before the season started. The question then becomes, what does it mean for Joonas Korpisalo?
Well, this is another guy that's a UFA at the end of the season, and there's been a lot of talk in Columbus over the last few seasons to what they're going to do with their goaltending. Because they have Merzlikins, because Korpisalo is there as well. He stood on his head in the postseason. They really both have stood on their head in the last few seasons for this club. But as you mentioned, Merzlikins gets that extension. Korpisalo's got is in the final year of his deal, $2.8 million cap hit. If this team is in their rebuild process, like a lot of people suspect, he's going to be a guy that clubs are going to be looking at. Teams that are looking to bolster themselves between the pipes are going to be calling Columbus to see what it's going to take to get this guy. Now, his numbers, not the greatest to start in his first couple of games for Columbus so far, but a lot of teams know his potential. There have been clubs that have kicked around on him before, like Edmonton. So we could see teams that are looking to bolster that goaltending position. Maybe they make that call as we get closer to that deadline, maybe right after that Olympic break.
Not lost on me that you just subtly threw Edmonton into that mix there. We'll see how that pans out for Corpy moving forward, as he's known in Columbus. Thanks for this, Dave.
Thanks, Jackie.